Good, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kalema Edgar, and I'll be presenting my research proposal titled Evaluating the Impact of API Governance on Integration Efficiency, Security, and Innovation Speed in Financial Institutions, a case study of DFCU Bank. So this study, I'm focusing on understanding how API governance influences key performance outcomes in modern banking environments. Um, my study background is financial institutions, and these are undergoing rapid digital transformation. Historically, banking systems relied heavily on monolithic architectures and point-to-point integrations. This was tightly coupled, and they were difficult to scale. So after that, we evolved into service-oriented architectures, and now we're into the phase of API-driven architectures, where APIs act as the backbone for digital banking services, systems integrations, and partner ecosystems such as fintechs and telecoms. On one hand, you can consider them a business driver for income generating effort. So at the same time, while APIs have enabled flexibility and innovation, as I've explained, they have also introduced complexity, security risks, and operational challenges. So to address this, organizations have implemented API governance, which ideally provides standardization, security enforcement, and lifecycle management of these APIs. However, weak or inconsistent governance can lead to inefficiencies, increased risk, and slower innovation, hence the study that I'm currently conducting. My problem statement is that in an ideal situation, environments require efficient, secure, and reliable API-driven integration, and that's what you expect in an ideal situation. However, in reality, you find that many organizations face fragmented API development practices, duplication of services, more services doing the same thing, security vulnerabilities, and delays in delivering new digital services. So the industry evidence, such as the WASP API Security Top 10, highlights that the common risks are usually broken authentication and data exposure, which comes with these APIs. Additionally, there is a widely held perception that governance introduces bureaucracy and slows down innovation. So this creates tension between control and agility, right? But the core problem this study addresses is there is uncertainty about whether API governance actually improves or constrains integration efficiency, security, and innovation speed in financial institutions. So that's what this study is majorly all about. So my purpose is to evaluate the impact of API governance on integration efficiency, security, and innovation speed, with the scope being DFCU Bank. My study is guided by four objectives: to assess the current state of API governance at DFCU Bank, evaluate its impact on integration efficiency, examine its influence on API security, as well as the effect it has on innovation speed. So the key questions that I would like to ask and base my research on is: what is the current state of API governance? And then how does it affect efficiency, security, and innovation? So for the scope of my study, it's scoped in three dimensions. One, on the geographical side, I'm focusing on DFCU Bank, which is in Uganda, part of East Africa and within Africa, because little of the research has been done on this within the African ecosystem. So that provides a relevant case due to the ongoing digital transformation that's happening within DFCU Bank. Conceptually, I am focusing on API governance frameworks, integration efficiency, API security, and innovation speeds. So in terms of time, I'm considering developments that have happened over the last 5 to 10 years, where API adoption has significantly increased within those years. My study is significant in that it will support DFCU Bank with improved governance decisions. The technology teams will have better integration and security practices. Academia, I'm contributing insight into this research, but focusing on developing markets. As you can see in my slide, my independent variables are API governance, The dependent variables are integration efficiency, security, innovation speed, and my control variables are largely around the organization size. These are the things that largely impact the independent and dependent variables. Yeah. So they can put constraints on the different things. So they control or they influence how the outcome plays out. My literature review. This study is supported by key authors and theories. The first one is Whale and Ross. This was written in 2004, and it explains that IT governance improves organizational performance by aligning IT with the business strategy, right? Which is one of the things that I'm studying here. Second is Thomas Earl in 2005 uh, through the service-oriented architecture, and it shows that systems designed as reusable services improve efficiency, but require governance to avoid duplication, because the more duplicated systems you have, the more crampy or clunky your architecture will get. Third is Everett Rogers in 2003 through diffusion of innovation theory, explains how the governance influences how quickly new technologies are adopted. I think that's where that whole thing of governance is slowing down innovation comes in, but this one studies it properly and explains how that governance actually affects it. Fourth is Grant in 1991 through the resource-based view theory, where he highlights that organizational capabilities such as APIs can provide competitive advantage when well managed. Yeah. And finally, we have practical frameworks from the IBM API governance theories and their website and everything else that I had to read. And that demonstrates how governance is implemented in real world environments. So together, these authors show that governance plays a critical role in improving efficiency, enhancing security, and influencing innovation. On the research design side, this study adopts a descriptive research design using a mixed methods approach. The descriptive design is appropriate because the study focuses on understanding current practices and relationships between variables. The mixed method approach combines the qualitative and the quantitative data. So the quantitative data for measurement and then the qualitative data for deeper insights. So this improves the reliability and validity of the findings. For my population and sampling, I'm targeting IT staff. All of this is at DFCU Bank. IT staff, the architects, solutions and enterprise architects, developers, and cybersecurity teams at DFCU Bank. So these are the key stakeholders involved in API governance and integration. The study uses non-profitability sampling, specifically for passive sampling. So I'm targeting knowledgeable respondents and convenience sampling, which is based on accessibility. If I can't access the person, then I can't really uh, utilize them. My sample size is estimated between 30 to 50 respondents, which is appropriate for this type of study. So for the data collection and analysis, I'm using both the primary and secondary data. My primary data is collected through questionnaires so that I can get structured responses and interviews, which provide the in-depth insights. Secondary data is obtained through document reviews, policies, architecture documents, and for analysis, the quantitative data is analyzed using descriptive statistics and the correlation analysis. My qualitative data is analyzed using thematic analysis to identify patterns and insights. So this approach ensures that I have a comprehensive understanding of the research problem. When it comes to the procedure that I intend to use, the data collection procedure involves obtaining permission from the bank, identifying respondents, giving them questionnaires, and doing interviews to collect data. Then after I've collected, I do analysis of that data. And in all of this, I have ethical considerations such that there is informed consent ahead of time before the person actually undertakes the survey. Confidentiality and anonymity is maintained. Participation is voluntary, so you have a right to withdraw at any time, and there's no harm to the participants. Yeah? So these principles ensure that the study is conducted responsibly and ethically. And in conclusion, this study seeks to determine whether API governance is an enabler or a constraint in modern banking, yeah? Particularly in improving efficiency on the integration side, cybersecurity, and innovation speed. Thank you very much.